What's up, guys? Boy, Benny. What is that sound I hear over the hills of snow? Is that jingle bells? No, indeed, it is the sound of seething, crying libs, screaming, and salty tears flowing, melting all of the snow, which is a actually great thing to happen when there's too much snow. The salt helps melt it and makes it safe for everybody. Thank you, salty libs. Michigan, a place that is covered in snow right now, has rejected an absurd attempt to rip Donald Trump off the ballot based on the 14th Amendment. Colorado, I guess, being a state that legalized shrooms, decided to rip Donald Trump off the ballot, but Michigan hasn't legalized shrooms, and therefore their Supreme Court said, no, that's not going to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. Breaking seconds ago, the Michigan Supreme Court has rejected an attempt to remove Donald Trump from the state's ballot. The decision comes after the Colorado Supreme Court disqualified Donald Trump for appearing in the state's ballots in 2024. This, of course, is fake and is meant to incite you. Please do not take the bait. The disqualification was disqualified by the Colorado's Supreme Court's own ruling, saying when Donald Trump appeals this, then this is stayed. So they already knew Donald Trump was going to appeal it. They were just trying to get lib points. Orange man bad points. That's it. They wanted a pat on the head from their Soros masters. By the way, the people who brought that lawsuit straight up admit that George Soros funded the entire thing. We'll get to that in just a second. Significantly, Colorado's elections laws differ from Michigan's laws in a material way that is directly relevant to where the appellate's case is not entitled to relief seek concerning the presidential primary election in Michigan, blah, blah, blah. Explaining the court's ruling, Trump wrote on a Truth Social post following the decision, the Michigan Supreme Court has strongly and rightfully denied the desperate attempt for Democrats to take the leading candidate off the ballot, me, in the great state of Michigan. Donald Trump is right to write this. And by the way, Donald Trump is becoming the Nelson Mandela of our era. I want to vote for the political prisoner. I want to vote for the guy that they tell me I'm not even allowed to see on a ballot. It's not that I shouldn't vote for him. It's that I'm not allowed to vote for him. What does that make you want to do? It's the walk on the grass paradigm. You've ever heard of that? It's a psychological phenomenon where if the sign says don't walk on the grass, if the sign says don't vote for my boy, don't vote for him. Don't do it. Don't do it. You can't do it. You can't vote for Donald Trump. Like, it makes you want to vote for Donald Trump. Here's some of the reactions online to this breaking. The Michigan Supreme Court rejects an attempt to remove Donald Trump from the 2024 Constitution insurrection ban, a decision based on the Constitution's insurrection ban, a decision at odds with a recent ruling from the Colorado Supreme Court, but in line with a bunch of other courts who have faced similar lawsuits, right? So there are other states that like Vermont, for instance, and New Hampshire, that other Supreme Courts have like thrown this all out. Colorado Supreme Court was literally smoking peyote laced with crystal meth and bath salts in their decision. I mean, it is an absolutely absurd drug-fueled decision, and the order of the court says that the Republican Donald Trump will be on the ballot, and you can GFY. George Soros funded GFY. So, ladies and gentlemen, just in Michigan Supreme Court has shot down an attempt to remove Donald Trump from the primary ballot. Good to see some people still believe in democracy. The battle is not over, however, considering ballot eligibility lawsuits have been filed in Oregon, New Jersey, and Wisconsin state courts. They have also been filed in federal districts in Alaska, Arizona, Nevada, New York, Mexico. Look at these people. Look at these people. They don't want you to be able to vote for them. That's what we come to. You're not allowed to vote for Donald Trump. Seething libs are very, very, very salty about this. We'll get to their reactions in just a second. President Trump on the Michigan Supreme Court strongly and rightfully denying it. MAGA, this is Donald Trump's quote, again, on Truth Social. The Colorado Supreme Court currently stands as an outlier among state courts, yet challengers are pushing the strikingly anti-democracy theory in various states. Yes, that's right. Jonathan Turley, one of my favorite commentators on said issues. The Michigan Supreme Court has joined in other states in rejecting the disqualification effort. Unlike Colorado justices, these jurists in other states show that many Democratic jurists can resist the temptation of bagging Trump at any cost. The cost, of course, is a pat on the head from your lizard overlords. LMAO, Michigan Supreme Court says nope, according to Cat Turd, and this is obviously the correct answer according to one of Donald Trump's challengers, Vivek Ramaswamy, who's been deeply right on all of these issues. Ladies and gentlemen, the libs melting down, the salty, salty, salty tears melting the snow everywhere, making it much more peaceful and better for all of us to live. Watch.
Supreme Court in Michigan has just rejected an effort to remove Donald Trump from that state's primary ballot. CNN's Caitlin Polantz has all of the details coming in early today. Caitlin, this ruling comes 8 days after Colorado's Supreme Court ruled that Trump should be removed from the ballot. Tell us about what the Supreme Court in Michigan is saying now.
Well, every state is following their own rules and their own processes for how to have candidates on the ballots. And this is why we're seeing something so different in Michigan today. The highest court in Michigan, 7 justices determining they're not going to get involved. The lower courts in Michigan said that they acknowledged that there were challenges to Trump being on the primary ballot there. And the lower court said,
listen to look at the face. Listen to the seething. Listen to the couching, the way that they frame this. And the way they frame it is like, oh, different courts follow different rules. Instead of this one court in a split decision is bonkers AF and are clearly using suppositories of baby powder, cocaine. I don't know anything about drugs. Can you tell? But clearly the Colorado Supreme Court are on drugs, right? Instead of saying that, they're saying everyone's following their own rules. That's not a great thing to hear about in your judicial system. Is that what we're supposed to have? Is that what the judicial system is about? Following your own rules, doing what feels good?
We also are not getting involved. This is not something for us to determine. And they weren't weighing in on the general election either at that time. And so now this case goes to the Michigan Supreme Court. They looked at it and they said, yeah, we're not going to do anything here either. But one of the justices in Michigan did write today in this ruling that Michigan is very different from Colorado. The laws are different around who qualifies for their primary ballots there. And that is one of the reasons why that state is ending up with a different situation about determining whether Donald Trump can be on the ballot because of the constitutional ban on insurrectionists running for office.
Okay, so a couple quick things here. I'm no lawyer, but let me make something very clear to you. The Constitution applies to all states. There's no place where the Constitution doesn't apply. And they're using the 14th Amendment in the Constitution to try and ban Donald Trump, who's never been found guilty of insurrection, in a law that was passed 150 years ago to stop Confederate generals from running effectively because they fought a literal war against the government. What happened on January 6th was not an insurrection. Now we see the long game that they've been playing here. Donald Trump is a political prisoner, the Nelson Mandela of America. Ladies and gentlemen, Orange Man good. Check out MSNBC.
To us, the Michigan Supreme Court has ruled that Donald Trump will remain on the Republican primary ballot. Obviously, a significant decision here. People have been waiting to see, given the news last week that the Colorado Supreme Court, in a 4-3 vote, voted that he should not appear on the Republican primary ballot. So he will be on that Michigan ballot.
But Colorado. Listen, I stand on the shoulders of giants. I listen to a lot of smart people. That's the only reason I know this inside and out. But let me tell you this. These state courts don't get a chance to overrule the United States Constitution. The United States Constitution grants that you have to be found guilty of insurrection. You have to be found guilty by a jury of your peers. You have to lose on appeal. Then you are labeled an insurrectionist. And even then, there has been nobody ever barred from running for president because of this amendment. This was, again, in order to keep generals who literally took up arms and fought a war, not a guy who sent 20,000 troops to go protect the Capitol that Nancy Pelosi projected, not a guy that said, march home peacefully. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not it. This ain't the ball game. The outlier here, it's an amazing thing that happens right now in our current political environment. The outlier here is the Colorado Supreme Court. They should be seen as reckless and insane, but instead they're being couched as like the standard. This is what happens on the left. It's called moving the Overton window. It's a game that they always play. They get one single insane ruling. They're like, the case is, as soon as it's on their turf, the case is settled, and they grab the energy. They grab that momentum, and Republicans should do better at grabbing that momentum. And that's actually why they're trying to stop Trump. Because Trump is so great at appealing to the people who have energy and like harnessing that energy and using it for action. And they can't have that, baby. Trump says, of course, he's entitled to immunity as he celebrates Supreme Court refusing to fast-track January 6th election. This is just another pile of presents that Donald Trump is finding under his tree this Christmas. This was a decision that was granted the day before Christmas by the Supreme Court. Sorry, 3 days before Christmas by the Supreme Court on the 22nd of September, where the Supreme Court effectively said that the January 6th case that Jack Smith is rabidly trying to talk about somebody on drugs, rapidly trying to bring in D.C. is effectively not allowed to break the law with the appeals process. And so Donald Trump gets a chance to appeal. This means that, of course, there will not be a trial before the election because this is all about election rigging. So the Colorado Supreme Court disqualifies Trump from the 2024 ballot. This was what we were talking about. This is the outlier. This was a 4-3 decision. And the people who dissented in this decision said it's the most dangerous, insane precedent they've ever seen. They hang their heads in a bag, and every one of them was a Democrat. Every single one of them was a Democrat. The real reason Democrats want Trump removed from the ballots. Hey, what do you see here? Is this Bitcoin? No. This is effing Donald Trump right here. That's why. They can't beat him at the polls. They've turned him into a political prisoner. They don't know how to get out of the trap they've set for themselves. The entire rest of the country hate them. And the regime is collapsing. And so this is why, ladies and gentlemen. Salt that lib. Keep the sidewalks salty. Ladies and gentlemen, we out here, we winning, and we got the energy. It's 10 months till an election. Joe Biden isn't even campaigning. Something's up. It's crazy. You haven't even seen Joe Biden like do a campaign stop or be out on the trail with Kamala Harris. Something's up, man. Keep your head on a swivel for 2024, man. But I tell you what, like Trump keeps winning and they're getting more and more desperate. We're not getting desperate. We are alive, baby. Like, share, and subscribe. Stay based. It's your boy, Benny. See ya.